Hey guys, welcome back to the Home Bartending Network. Tonight's cocktail is a Manhattan. Manhattan's one of the most well-known cocktails of all time. It's kind of one of those grandpa cocktails that your father or your grandfather might have drunk. And a lot of people get Manhattans and Old Fashions mixed up. And just to kind of clarify, an easy way I've found to differentiate between the two is if you think about Manhattan, think about tall buildings. Your Manhattan is always going to be served up in a coupe or in a martini glass. So think of it, tall buildings, it's served up high. Old Fashions are always going to be served down low, right? And a lot of people, especially some men at restaurants, will order their Manhattans in an Old Fashioned glass on the rocks because they don't want to drink out of a stem glass. Well, the stem glass isn't just for looks, right? It has a purpose. And the purpose is that when you grab it, you're holding it by the stem and not by the actual glass, thus warming the drink up, right? And you may say, well, if you're drinking Manhattan in an old-fashioned glass of ice, then it's gonna stay cold too. Well, yes, it will stay cold, but the ice is gonna dilute it as you drink it. So the purpose of the coupe, chilled coupe, you strain your Manhattan in there, you use the stem to drink out of, and it remains at the perfect dilution. It also stays chilled throughout the duration of you drinking it. So we get that out of the way. Just to kind of clear that up. Old Fashions and Manhattans, both very similar. The Manhattan is only really 3 ingredients. It's whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters. My Manhattans, I prefer rye whiskey, and that's because rye has a spicier character than bourbon does. A lot of people will use bourbon in their Manhattans, but I think that bourbon's inherent sweetness kind of lends to an overall sweeter character at the end of the drink. Whereas rye, because it's got that spicy kind of character, it's gonna be a more balanced cocktail at the end. One of my favorite ryes is Rittenhouse. This is a Pennsylvania style rye. Pennsylvania style ryes are gonna be a little spicier than maybe your other kinds of ryes like Maryland style rye because they have 80 to 90% rye in the mash bill. The mash bill is what makes up the whiskey, right? So you've got a spicy character already in this whiskey. And Rittenhouse is fantastic because it's very affordable. It's $24.99 at the store normally. It's bottled in bond. And if you look at the very bottom of the label here, bottled in bond is kind of a stamp of quality in whiskeys and a lot of other spirits as well that says that it's aged for a minimum of 4 years. It's distilled at one distillery during one distillation season. It's made under US government supervision and it's 100 proof, always, right? So when you see that, you may not see an age statement, but if you see bottled in bond, you know you have a quality product in hand. So Rittenhouse, fantastic, especially for the money. The sweet vermouth that we're gonna use is Carpano Antica. And this is the world's oldest sweet vermouth recipe. Carpano Antica, Antica meaning antique in Italian. Carpano Antica's got kind of some cacao and these bitter herbs and roots and just delicious kind of deep flavor. And that's gonna go great with our spicy rye whiskey. Then we've got Angostura bitters. This is your classic bitters that you find in all these old cocktail recipes. You can always see it at the store because it's got this kind of awkward paper that goes up over the shoulder of the bottle, that bright yellow top. You'll always see Angostura on the shelves, almost every liquor store in the world, right? Okay, so let's start it. We're gonna start with 1 ounce of our sweet vermouth. Put it right into our mixing glass. And remember guys, keep your vermouth cold. I pulled this right out of the fridge before this video. Vermouth is fortified wine and it will spoil unless it's refrigerated, right? So you see there's a lot of negative connotations surrounding vermouth, both dry and sweet vermouths, because a lot of restaurants just keep a dusty old bottle of it kind of on the back bar and they don't refrigerate it, and then you get a martini with a vermouth in it or a Manhattan and you think, ugh, this tastes terrible, vermouth is gross. No, it's because it's spoiled. If you keep it cold, it's fantastic, adds layers of complexity and depth of flavor, and all kinds of just deliciousness to your cocktails. So keep this in the fridge. Next, we're gonna go in with our Rittenhouse rye. We're gonna do 2 ounces of rye. Manhattans are really easy, right? 2 to 1 whiskey to sweet vermouth. And then your bitters. There's our 2 ounces of rye right there. Next, we're gonna go in with bitters. A lot of people like to just do 2 dashes of bitters in their Manhattans. Bitters is your binding agent in a cocktail. Think about salt and pepper when you're cooking. Bitters is just going to kind of meld flavors together that might not otherwise work together. I like to do 4 dashes. It might be a little bit high for some people, but in actuality, between 2 dashes and 4 dashes, you're not really going to be able to taste a whole lot of difference. I just like to have that little extra note of bitters in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, we're gonna stir it up. And remember, this is a stirred cocktail, right? Not shaken, because there's no citrus. This is it's all spirits in this cocktail, that's why we're gonna stir it. And what the stirring is going to do is it's gonna dilute the cocktail so that we have the right amount of water content, and it's also going to chill it so that when we go to drink it, it's refreshing and just an overall more enjoyable experience, right? So you're gonna go 30 to 40 rotations on the inside of your glass, or 30 to 40 seconds, whichever one is easier for you to count to, right? Another way to kind of tell is you just hold the back of your fingers up to your glass, and when it starts to frost and feel really cold, it's probably ready to go. It should be effortless when you're stirring. You don't want to have to use a lot of wrist action to kind of go around like a cauldron, right? You just kind of want to put it in between your fingers, whether it's a bar spoon or a chopstick you found in your drawer, or just a big spoon you got here at home. You just kind of want it to be languid stirring, right? That should be about cold enough. We're gonna put our strainer on top. I've got a glass here chilling. This is a coupe that I've got ice and water in. You can also put this in your freezer if you want it even colder, or you can put it in your fridge if you didn't want to put ice and water in it. So we're gonna dump that out. We've got our cold coupe here. We're gonna strain right in. And we have this really nice dark brown kind of amber color. And this is the moment where you would add the last ingredient in your traditional Manhattan, which would be a cherry. I just prefer not to have one. I think it's a waste because I don't like to eat them. I think they're a little bit too sweet most of the time. But if you prefer cherry in your Manhattan, this would be the moment when you would drop one in. If you're looking for a great cherry, Luxardo makes fantastic cherries. If you don't want to spend the money on Luxardo, which can be quite expensive, an Amarena cherry, which is just a wild Italian cherry, is also a fantastic option. And that is your Manhattan, served up in a really beautiful coupe. It's chilled, and cheers, guys.